who are you, Huang Zero? How did you get into card games?
So my name is Alex, right? But Huang is my middle name. And originally, with card games, I started, doing Pokemon cards when I was like maybe 5 years old. I collected Pokemon cards. I didn't know how to play the game or anything like that. I just liked Pokemon, so I collected them. And my cousin collected Yu-Gi-Oh cards. He didn't know how to play the game, but he collected Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And so that kind of, over the years, I collected a lot of Pokemon cards. And in high school, so my freshman year of high school, it was maybe it was 8th grade middle school. It was one of those two. But I started playing Cardfight Vanguard, actually, because of the anime, right? So Vanguard was my first, I guess you could say, competitive card game. And I played it at locals in Michigan, actually, Grand Ledge, Michigan. And I was a Royal Paladin player, for those of you that know Vanguard, you happen to know that. I was like, okay, but as a card game player, or just really in general, I don't like to lose. I'm very competitive oriented. So whenever I get into any card game, I always just look up like what's the best deck in the format, or like at least the second best deck in the format, and then I'll just buy it. Like I'll worry about it later, So I played competitive Vanguard for a very long while, actually. But eventually I moved to Houston, Texas, where I met some people and I got into Yu-Gi-Oh! And I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Like on and off-ish prior to that. Because casually with some friends, I wasn't very good at it. But when I moved to Houston on my senior year of high school, I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Very competitively. I went from Shadalls to Zodiac to Trickstar.
Oh God. God. I went through all of that.
Yeah.
I know.
And I didn't do a lot of competitive events for Yu-Gi-Oh! On like a regional level. I think the only thing I did was I got an invite for nationals one year playing Trickstar, but that was really about it. And then in college, I had all of my Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards stolen, actually. So I couldn't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore because as a college student, I was broke, first and foremost. So I couldn't afford to buy back into Yu-Gi-Oh! So for the remainder of college, I played Cardfight Vanguard because I already had Cardfight Vanguard stuff, and that game was pretty cheap at the time. And throughout my Cardfight Vanguard career, I've gotten a couple top 8s, including a second place. But that's really about it. I haven't done anything other than that for Cardfight Vanguard. And then Digimon came out the Japanese Digimon release came out in the year of 2020, and I heard inklings about it, unironically from Wasi. Wasi was the person that put it on my radar. I didn't know about it until then, and I've been a huge Digimon fan all of my life. Ever since I was a child, I arguably liked Digimon more than I did Pokemon, actually. Which, for frame of reference, I'm 24, so I became cognizant of Digimon around Frontiers. Just for frame of reference, if any of you are feeling like old. Yeah. But then in 2020, I love Digimon. I saw a Digimon card game, and I started playing Digimon, like the card game, like almost religiously. Really, this especially took off when I graduated college and I was unemployed. I had too much free time, and I lived at my parents' place, just like any other like college graduate, right? Like I just didn't have anything going for me at the time. I was job hunting, job applying, whatever. But I had too much free time. So what does any freshly graduated college student do? They spend all of their times on their damn computer, and I just play Digimon like way too much, like way too much. And I really got into it around set 2 of the Japanese format, and my first grand accomplishment, I guess if you will, was when set 2, if you guys don't know, for Japanese format, it was when we got what was it? It was the Ulforce, the Galleon, Rust Tyrannomon, that set, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Green was really bad that set. Green was terrible that set. I mean they if you weren't playing Omnimon, you were just a bad deck.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. And Ulforce, kind of.
Ulforce was like okay back then during the Japanese
Kinda, that's what
format.
I said, kinda.
Yeah, it was really just if you play Red Omni or Blue Omni, okay? Those are your two choices. Like you can play Purple, and Purple was doing pretty well because Piedmon Turbo goes crazy. really, it was just play Omni or play Purple. Those are like your 3 choices. And I liked Green a lot because I love my boy Tentomon and I love Palmon. Those are like my 2 favorite Digimon from Adventure 01. So I built a green deck that was basically Tidamon Turbo. And this Tidamon Turbo list is actually a lot of the inspiration that happened with the original English 1.0. The Tidamon Turbo, the entire concept was you were trying to get to level 6 before your opponent did. And I capitalized on this using the fact that green had 1-cost evos, 2-cost evos, on 4 and 5 specifically, more so than the other 5 colors. So Tidamon Turbo was created, and I was running Argomon level 6 to like punch. It wasn't a good deck. I thought it was terrible, frankly. But you know, it somebody from Japan picked up the deck because we were in the same Discord server, and he was like, "Hey, I just won my locals with this," and I was like, "Oh, that's mine. You jacked that from me." Like, and he goes, "Oh shit." And so like we started talking like back and forth. About like how to improve green, and this was like kind of like my first footstep into like the competitive scene of Digimon, where he eventually he got a title, right? Because in Japan somebody wrote a news article within the community, and he was his name is Desi for the record, my friend who played green, we're still great friends to this day, and he was dubbed the Green King of Kyoto. Okay, because he was the only player playing green, and he was doing very well at events. But so for a hot sec, whenever a person had questions about green, they would come to me. And so eventually, this led me to playing in my first tournament, which I think is, you know, the starting point of everything. My very first tournament, I actually ended up winning it. I played Fast Red Omni, and I played Fast Red Omni with one of Starter Deck War Greymon, the one that gets +1 security attack for every 2 sources you have. That card was total ass, but it worked out super well because I was just kind of crushing it, to be honest with you. I only had 1 loss, and it was unironically to Old Force, but I made Top Cut. And in Top Cut, I played, I think I played Steven. I might have played Steven in the Top Cut. No, I think that was something else. But regardless, I made it to finals, and I knew my opponent is Tessero. If you guys know Tessero, this is kind of how me and Tessero became really, really great friends. Him and I have, since the start of this all. But he was playing purple. He was notoriously known as the best purple player on the server, and this is like the main Discord server, right? So that the Discord server everyone knows. And so I've never talked to this guy, but I saw that he had his game stream. They streamed his match, his semifinal match. So I spent the next 3 hours watching his gameplay, watching all of his habits, seeing like the kind of cards he had in his deck, and I just took notes of everything. I was like, if I do this action, he'll do this in response, and like the finals went.
My man's went down the rabbit hole.
The finals went perfectly. Everything went off without a single problem. I calculated perfectly how Starter Deck War Greymon would interact with everything. I knew I could play around the Trump Sword. I knew nothing could ever kill my stack. Like I was so in control of that finals. It was good. It felt really good, and I got my first win. And it wasn't like a big event or anything. It was a very small event, but that little taste, you know, that taste of success is kind of what fueled me to keep going.